This is macOS Ken.
TSMC may plant a second plant in Arizona. News of updates and betas from Apple. And a wee bit of entertainment news. It is Thursday, the 10th of November, 2022. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from macOS Ken. Brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Ladder. Smart, dynamic term life insurance. Learn more at ladderlife.com/macOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Designed in California, made in Arizona. That could be applicable to future Apple Silicon processors. The Wall Street Journal ran a piece Wednesday saying Apple's chip-making partner, TSMC, is set to announce a second multi-billion-dollar factory in the desert Southwest. The first factory was announced in 2020. Building the buildings is done for the first one, though loading in equipment has not started yet. The piece says TSMC will hold a ceremony next month to install the first batch of production equipment. Originally, the company had planned to produce 5-nanometer chips there, though the journal says they're now gearing up to also produce more advanced 4-nanometer chips. Production is not expected to begin in earnest until sometime in 2024. Now, that's just the first factory. The journal says the outlay for the second one is expected to be roughly similar to the $12 billion it committed for the first one 2 years ago. According to the report, TSMC's new facility would manufacture so-called 3-nanometer transistors, some of the tiniest and most lightning-fast currently possible. All of this comes mostly compliments of secret sources. Sounds like the company is talking publicly about another facility, though it is being cagey as to why. Quoting the report again, TSMC said in a statement to the Wall Street Journal Wednesday that it is constructing a building to potentially serve as a second fab at its site in Arizona. It will consider adding more advanced chip capacity there, though it hasn't made a final decision, the statement said. Assuming they do follow through, a number of stories I saw said it's practically guaranteed that chips made in the Grand Canyon state would make their way into iPhones. Of course, with no official word on a factory, there is no telling when processors made in the USA might start powering Apple's communicator. A few small, nondescript updates from Apple on Wednesday. A piece from Mac Rumors says the Cupertino company released macOS Ventura 13.0.1 midweek, while another report from the site says Apple released iOS and iPadOS 16.1.1. They're going to sound like the same blessed update. Mac Rumors calls the Ventura update a bug fix, while referring to the iOS and iPadOS releases as minor bug fix updates. No word on what bugs get fixed by any of the updates, and nothing about hoped-for fixes for the Mac. For iOS 16.1.1, there has been this Wi-Fi issue that's seen some users unable to stay connected to their Wi-Fi networks. It'll probably be a bit before we know whether that's been addressed, though. All three updates do come with the same 2 security fixes. Left unaddressed, they could let a remote user cause unexpected app termination or arbitrary code execution. For the security-minded, that is likely reason enough to update. While the updates don't list new features for most, some iPhone users in China will see a change. A piece from 9to5Mac says with Wednesday's iOS update, users in the Middle Kingdom can leave AirDrop open to everyone for a limited time only. Very limited. 10 minutes, according to the report. There are a couple of things that are weird about the story. First, the piece says the 10-minute window is hardware-based, not software. This means that only iPhone models purchased in mainland China are affected by the update, according to 9to5Mac. Not a new trick, it seems. For instance, the piece says the Taiwanese flag emoji is not available on iPhones sold in China. Apple also uses the same method to limit the volume level of its devices in European Union countries, as required by law. The other thing that's weird about the AirDrop change, there is no indication as to why the change was made. Again, users can open AirDrop to everyone rather than just people in their contacts list, but only for 10 minutes at a time. 9to5Mac says some people speculate that Chinese regulators required Apple to update iOS as an attempt to prevent anonymous people from spreading harmful content and anti-government material. While everybody got small updates for things on Wednesday, public testers got a look at what's next. One piece from Mac Rumors says Apple hit the testing crew with the second beta of macOS Ventura 13.1, while another piece from that site says the public testing peeps got second betas of iOS and iPadOS 16.2. Like something yelled at a Skinnerd show, the feature found in all of the betas is Freeform. Meant for creative collaboration, Mac Rumor says the Freeform app can be used for brainstorming, planning out ideas, jotting down notes, and more. Users can insert drawings, sticky notes, shapes, text boxes, photos, videos, PDFs, links, and other documents, with Freeform serving as a blank canvas. Of course, multiple people can access and affect the same Freeform board. Wouldn't be a collaborative tool without that. In addition to that, Mac Rumor says the iPadOS 16.2 beta brings external display support to the Stage Manager multitasking feature, allowing up to 8 apps to be used at once. That assumes the use of an M1 or M2 Mac, FYI. There's also a new Home app architecture coming to the iPad and iPhone, complements of these updates, and users will be able to report unintentional emergency SOS calls in iOS 16.2, which will be much better than the current response of standing there looking awkward. There's one more thing worth noting, though we may not see it just yet. Apple Insider has heard word of a new custom accessibility mode that should let people customize the home screen for specific disability needs. Customize, as in replace it. According to Apple Insider, its major benefit will be that it can replace the normal Springboard home screen. Springboard has been what the user sees on every iPhone since the original, but with this feature, users will be able to choose larger app icons. That is the what. As for the when, who can say? The piece says spelunkers have found fragments of the feature under the hood in iOS 16.2. As of now, it is not a feature made available for testing. More news in a moment, but first a word from Ladder, smart, dynamic term life insurance and sponsor of today's show. Do you worry about what would happen to your family financially without you there to kick in? I know you're not planning to go anywhere, but what we call the unthinkable happens all the time. Thinking about it and planning for it can be scary and, depressing, but it's something we really shouldn't put off. If you need term coverage life insurance, choosing through Ladder today makes it easy. Ladder is 100% digital. No doctors, no needles, no paperwork when you apply for $3 million in coverage or less. Just answer a few questions about your health in an application that will take you less time than you will spend listening to today's show. You just need a few minutes and a phone or a laptop to apply. Ladder's smart algorithms work in real time, so you will find out if you are instantly approved. You can put this worry behind you. So go to ladderlife.com/macOSken today to see if you are instantly approved. That's LADDER life.com/macOSken. ladderlife.com/macOS Ken. If you're a resident of the Centennial State, you can stick your state ID in Apple Wallet. Apple Insider says Colorado is the latest to let license and state ID holders put them in Apple's virtual wallet, provided the iPhone in use is running iOS 15 or later. You know, sometimes the future moves at a glacial speed. While users will be able to use their IDs through iPhones or associated Apple Watches, they won't be able to do a lot with them. So far, Apple Insider says, people can use it at certain TSA checkpoints at Denver International Airport and other airports in certain states. Cupertino's bought another round for the Garvey sisters. Apple TV Plus issued a press release earlier this week announcing a second season order for the dark comedy Bad Sisters. For those who have not caught it, Apple says in Bad Sisters, the tight-knit Garvey sisters have always looked out for each other. When their brother-in-law winds up dead, his life insurers launch an investigation to prove malicious intent and set their sights on the sisters, all of whom had ample reason to kill him. Praise for the show has been effusive. Not only does it currently have a 100% score on Rotten Tomatoes, the release says the Critics' Choice Association Women's Committee also recently granted Bad Sisters with the newly launched Seal of Female Empowerment in Entertainment. From the show itself, star and executive producer Sharon Horgan was quoted as saying, "The response to our show has been beyond what we could have hoped for. It gave us the opportunity to shine a light on stories that don't always get such a global platform." No word in the release on when the second season might premiere. The whole of Season 1 is now available to stream on Apple TV+. And finally today, Apple Music's Artist of the Year 2022 has been named. Well, they already had a name. Rather, the honor has been bestowed. In a press release, Apple said global recording artist Bad Bunny was announced as Apple Music's Artist of the Year. According to the company, Un Verano Sin Ti, Bad Bunny's sixth project in 4 years, is Apple Music's most streamed album of 2022 and now the biggest Latin album of all time. Me here at macOS Ken extends my warmest congratulations to Mr. Bunny. Today on the Mac Observer's Daily Observations podcast, Samsung keeps predicting foldable phones, and TMO writer Nick DeCorville can't wait. He joins me to talk about that, plus a group that made a foldable iPhone of their own. Then, Oculus creator Palmer Luckey says he has made a VR rig with a sick and twisted twist. When the user dies in VR, they die in meat space too. Now, how much would you pay? That's all today on the Daily Observations podcast from the Mac Observer, online at macobserver.com or wherever you get podcasts. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by Ladder, smart, dynamic term life insurance. Learn more at ladderlife.com/macOS Ken. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOS Ken. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.